Here we are on the Gardener's Corner program. My name is Rob Hall. Glad to have you along with us. The Gardener's Corner program today is brought to you by the Lloyd Granville Agricultural Heritage Association. That show is going on today, tomorrow, and Sunday. It's a 3-day harvest show featuring John Deere. It's taking place in Butner, about 1 block off of Central Avenue. The Lloyd Granville Agricultural Heritage and Association. It's a more or less tractor and engine show, and they'll have a lot of other displays stand there, and we'll tell you more about that coming up in just a few minutes. We're also brought to you by T.G. Brooks Company and also South Boston Memorials. Please make welcome all the way from the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service, a man that wakes up in the morning when he's in the bathroom getting ready to prepare for the day. He kind of looks in the mirror and he just says, "Bring it." Mr. Carl, and he's ready to rumble. Cantaloupe. A good morning, sir.
It just gets better and better. What can I say?
Well, talking about getting better and better, you know, they use this analogy sometimes when they talk about wine, you know, finer with time. I don't know if that's
Better with age.
well. I'll go along with that. But speaking of age and things, Carl is going to be celebrating a birthday
Oh no! So now how did
within the next
he,
week.
now how did he know this? I haven't said a word.
Believe next Thursday, October the 9th, is your birthday.
It's
And,
good. I won't be here.
And so you're going to be 29 for how many years now?
Quite a bit.
But anyway, yes,
Actually, this is a milestone. It's the big 6-0 this year. So.
60 years old. Well, maybe I need to start calling you Mr. Cantaloupe. Well, happy early birthday to you,
Well,
Carl.
thanks,
And
Rob.
anyway, if I knew how to bake a cake, I would have baked you a cake. But since I didn't know how to bake one, I figured that I would not because, you know, I wouldn't want you to be sick when your birthday rolls around. So, again, his birthday will be next Thursday. So, we are live in the studio. Want to let you know that if you're tuned in, we're going to just be talking about topics in general today. We don't more or less have a particular topic that we're going to focus on a lot today, but a few things that we are going to touch on. The weather forecast is predicting the low on Saturday night and Sunday morning to be in the low 30s, maybe the high 30s. Let me rephrase that. Lows expected Saturday night into Sunday morning, the low 40s, or maybe even the high 30s. So it's going to be most coolest night that we have had in quite some times. And Carl has got some more or less tips to kind of let you know how to prepare to maybe take care of some of your sensitive plants and other things that may be around the home. And I think we maybe talk about some fire ant mounds. You just recently had a phone call from someone asking
Right,
about
in
that.
Actually, northern Granville County, but I'm convinced that we're probably seeing them here in southern Person County, and we are live today.
599-0266. And another topic that I want to discuss, if you wouldn't mind, Carl, is stink bugs.
Right.
One day this week, I was actually on the tractor, and I had a stink bug land on my left shirt sleeve. And the stink bug, I looked at it pretty good, you know, trying to see if it was one of the brown marmorated stink bugs, but it was not. And then I just kind of flicked it off of my shirt, you know. But, you know, Carl, no longer than it was there, it left a really bad odor on my shirt sleeve, and
They,
pretty much, for several hours there, it was no problem smelling the odor that stink bug had left.
that's right.
And would like to know about how to kind of prepare and take care of the stink bug.
Right, and this is what the brown marmorated stink bug looks like. You can see it has two bands, two white bands on their antenna. They have prominent white triangular shaped markings on the wing covers, and they also have red eyes. The regular brown stink bug doesn't have that. They only have one band on the antenna. The markings are not as conspicuous on the wing covers, and they have dark eyes. But they can both be easily controlled if you have these, around the foundation of the house outdoors. You can make a foundation treatment with a product called Talstar, Talstar. It works very well against them both.
It's on.
Yeah. We got a little problem with connections here. Are we got it now? Okay, I think a little, yeah, wired must be frayed a little bit here. Afraid of what?
All
Yes.
right, but
Anyway.
and so you say, what's the chemical name again to help?
Talstar, Talstar, and I believe that is bifenthrin is the active ingredient, and it is labeled for its foundation treatment of all kinds of insects.
So you would just spray around the
Foundation of the house.
Don't
right?
worry about spraying around vegetation.
Right.
Or anything.
No, and it's not labeled for use in food crops. It's just strictly as a treatment around the house foundation or in the crawl space, that kind of thing.
Well, I did look at the stink bug that was on my sleeve the other day, and I was looking to see if it had red eyes, but it did not.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was just the brown
All right.
stink bug. But anyway, again, we are live in the studio, 599-0266. That's 599-0266. Carl, moving along, as mentioned a little while ago, it's supposed to get pretty cool on Saturday night into Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it would be a good idea to go ahead and make some preparations to keep maybe from some of your vegetation
Yeah.
and plants and all from maybe getting a little bit cold hurt.
Right, especially if you have house plants outside on the patio or the porch, growing in containers. You really want to take those in when you start to hear that the temperatures are going to go, down to 40 or below, just to be sure. And now would be a good time to inspect your house plants for insects, aphids, mealybugs, whiteflies, these insects, and then you can control them with an insecticide that's labeled for use on house plants. For these type of insects that are feeding on the leaves, you can use malathion, or you can use a insecticidal soap like Safer soap. Works very well. If you have a predominance of black flies flying around those plants, though that's the adult stage of the fungus gnat. Fungus gnats are out and about right now. A woman called in before about those. In that case, the destructive stage is the larvae or the worm of the fungus gnat. Get some malathion, follow label directions, and make a drench of that material. Mix it with water, and then just water the material through the pot. Let it drain. Do this outside, and then this will do an effective job of killing the fungus gnat larvae before you bring them inside.
Okay. Hey, I think we've got a caller,
Okay.
and we're going to have to make a little bit of preparations. We're a microphone short, but here we go. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardeners Corner program.
Yes, sir. I was just listening to your program about this. I got the tail end of the conversation about stink bugs.
Yes, ma'am.
This morning, I noticed one I've never seen before. It was black with little orange dots on it. They are just so prevalent in Jefferson County. Is it anything that we can do for them?
Yeah, where do you see them? Where are they congregating in different places?
Well, I just saw these out in the driveway, and I have opened my car, and there was a couple in there.
Yeah. Well, again, you can do foundation treatments around the house. This will provide a barrier for from them crossing that and getting into the house. That's that's the best thing to do, because they are looking for winter quarters to come in where the temperatures will be are warm.
What do you recommend to put down?
There's a brand name. It's called Talstar, Talstar. Follow the label directions, and you can use that to treat for stink bugs as well as other soil insects around the house. Crickets, pill bugs, sow bugs, all these type of insects. But it's recommended to treat around the foundation of the house. Not recommended to use in a vegetable garden or around trees or shrubs or anything like that.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Hey, thank you. We appreciate your call. Well, Carl, I guess in a sense, the stink bug, about the only harmful thing that the stink bug offers is the odor, correct?
Well, the brown marmorated stink bug, is actually a destructive insect, and if we can get the slides here. They've caused a lot of problems in the mountains. They feed on apples as they're maturing, and you can see the destruction here in the apple. And there's several other. I did this the other week. I went the wrong way. There's a lot of other crops that they can affect. They can affect green beans. This is okra pods here. This is also on eggplant, peppers. You can see the damage that they do here. Here it is on tomato, and there it is on beans, sweet corn as well, and they can really cause a lot of havoc in these crops if we get them here. But luckily, we haven't seen or I haven't heard of a lot of problems with them feeding on these crops here.
Now this is the brown marmorated.
The brown marmorated, yeah.
But now just the
ordinary-
regular stink bug.
Well, they will affect vegetables too. The ordinary stink bug can be brown or green. They suck the sap out of tomato fruits, and they cause that white hard spot just underneath the fruit. So they do that kind of damage.
Well, our neighbors went to the mountains a few days ago and brought us a box of apples back.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the apples sitting outside on the porch, and opened the box up yesterday to get an apple out, and I saw one of the brown stink bugs in the box of apples.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Will they do harm to apples after they have been picked?
If they're in a good environment where they can still do their feeding, probably the best place for your apples would be in the refrigerator right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings up a good point. And I guess Carl will talk about it in just a minute. We used to never do this until Carl told me about it, about keeping our iced potatoes in the refrigerator.
Right.
Excuse me. And but sweet potatoes, they do not like cold weather.
Right.
So we'll get back into talking about, maybe some things that you can do to help prevent cold weather damage to some sensitive plants and in the vegetable garden. And one thing you can use is a material that a lot of seamstress are aware of and use is interfacing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
Tell us a little bit more about that, Carl.
This is a spun bonded polyester material that vegetable growers have used for a long time. It's called Remay, or the women know it as interfacing. It's used to make dresses. It has it's a fiber, but it's porous. It will let water through. But in the springtime, growers or even home gardeners will use it to put over their cucumber and squash plants to exclude insects such as the striped and spotted cucumber beetles from transmitting the bacterial wilt disease of vine crops that can cause the entire plant to wilt and die. So we can put this on the plants to protect them from the insects. Also, this time of the year, we can put them on plants to give us a few degrees of frost protection if you know that frost is going to occur. You can do that. You can do other things. Cover the garden with a tarp. Anything that you can do to give yourself a few more days of warm weather before it gets really cold. And warm season vegetables will not take temperatures close to 32 degrees. If you have cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, these crops will not be harmed by a frost. In fact, they'll take temperatures down to 26 degrees with no problem. But right now in the garden, if you should have cabbage and broccoli starting to form heads, and in my garden they are. So now's the time that you really want to have these plants ready to produce a good usable head or stalk. Because once it gets real cold, even though the cold temperatures won't kill them, it really slows down the growth of these plants. So to stimulate them to mature faster, we can add additional nitrogen. If you've got a water-soluble fertilizer that has nitrogen in it, just water the plants in with that, and this will stimulate new growth. And then if your Brussels sprouts are growing tall and they haven't started to form sprouts yet, if you have a good height on the plant, you can always pinch the top of the plant out. So this destroys what we call the apical dominance, and it channels the plant's energy into producing the sprouts. This will help stimulate the production of Brussels sprouts.
Well, now, Carl, if anybody has any tomatoes still on the tomato vines, if they have made it to the more or less to where they have started turning white, they need to go ahead and harvest them, correct?
Right, and even if you get frost warnings, it's best to pick all your tomatoes, irregardless if you don't know whether they're mature green or immature green. The immature green tomatoes will not ripen. The ethylene will not be released. But I would pick them anyway and just bring them all inside, lay them out flat on a table, don't wrap them. And this way you can see which of the tomatoes will start to ripen and which ones won't. The ones that will not ripen will rot. And if that's the case, you can get rid of them real quick. If you wrap them up in newspaper, this hastens ripening by letting the ethylene vapors concentrate just, between the fruit and the newspaper, and this does stimulate quicker ripening. But for the immature green fruits where ethylene has not been released, if you wrap those in newspaper, you're not going to be able to see them, and so they'll rot, and then they'll get quite decomposed before you notice them.
No need to set them in the sunlight,
No.
just inside, out of the sun. And if they have reached the maturity stage, they will ripen on up. If not, they will start to go bad, and you can just discard them and be done with it.
Right.
Paul, with it being pretty much mum season, do you have to worry about the chrysanthemums being subject to the cold weather?
Usually, if it's a light frost, it doesn't affect them very well. Of course, a heavy frost will probably burn them back. But you can cover those if you want. If you have some remay, cover those. Pansies don't have a problem with freezing temperatures. They actually have the sap in the cell sap in the stems. They actually are not harmed by freezing temperatures. It's kind of like antifreeze, and pansies don't seem to be bothered by frost and winter temperatures, and they'll stay around throughout the winter to provide winter color, so you don't have to be worried about those.
Okay, all right. Hey, we hope that was some useful information. We're going to take out a little bit of time to tell you about the Lloyd Granville Agricultural Heritage Association's 8th Annual Harvest Show that's going on today, Saturday, and Sunday. It's taking place in Butner. Daily admission is $5 a person, or get a 3-day pass for only $8. Here's more information about the Lloyd Granville Agricultural Heritage Association's 8th Annual Harvest Show. If you're a fan of yesteryear antique tractors and engines, why don't you make it your plans to attend the 8th Annual Harvest Show presented by the Lloyd Granville Agricultural Heritage Association in Butner, North Carolina, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Show hours are Friday, October the 3rd, noon until 5. Saturday, October the 4th, 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. Sunday, October the 5th, 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. General admission is $5 per day, or get a 3-day pass for only $8. The 8th Annual Harvest Show featuring John Deere will be held at the corner of 12th and G Streets in Butner, 1 block off of Central Avenue. For more information, call Al Govan at 919-528-1652. Come on down this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to the Lloyd Granville Agricultural Heritage Association's 8th Annual Harvest Show and enjoy antique tractors, engines, Mama's Kitchen, a one-of-a-kind antique tool display, and much, much more. That's this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Butner. For more information, call 919-528-1652. Here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program. You know, it's kind of interesting. I said it many times, the things that we talk about during the commercial break. And sometimes we get caught still talking and the commercial is over. But we are live in the studio and have a great time with the Gardener's Corner program. Carla, myself, and Kilby, we like to laugh and joke and chuckle, and but we are very serious about the Gardener's Corner program, and we are live in the studio. You can give us a call, 336-599-0266. We'll call, give us an update on the Master Gardener's course.
It's still going very well. The people seem to enjoy it, so that's good. And let's see. Well, we've made a couple of field trips so far. We've just looked at different things around the extension office in Oxford. You know, try to spot insect and disease problems. We went up to the my asparagus plots here in Person County a couple of weeks ago, and they seem to enjoy the class. And what I guess probably the most recent update is that we have two women in the class in Roxborough that have decided to start their own community garden and make it available to residents that live in their area. They have a vacant lot that they want to till up and get started this fall, and so this will give the people a chance to have a garden, and supposedly none of these people have gardens of their own, so this will be really nice. So so here's, and I'm glad to see it. The new Master Gardeners this year from Person County looks like they're going to be really active.
Well, you know, Carl, I have seen, you know, different programs on TV about, you know, in the big cities and all, where they would have community gardens and things, and you know, maybe it will work out, and maybe it'll give people an opportunity to go out and work in the garden that may not have any, you know, space to have a garden of themselves.
That's right.
And you know, the nice thing about it is it'll be fellowship and fun, and it'll be people sharing knowledge and learning things.
That's right.
So I think it's a great idea. We want to wish those two ladies a great success with that. We sure do. But in case you're wondering about the Master Gardeners program and course, this is the second year that Carl has taught it here in Person and Granville counties. Anyway, 1 week there, have class in Granville County. The next week they have it in Person County. And this course is free of charge to those that sign up ahead of time. And I think Carl normally limits it to about 25 people,
That's right.
correct?
That's right.
And all that's asked and all that is required of these people that take the Master Gardeners course is that they kind of give back to the community. And that is done by maybe going to one of the local gardening centers and with permission of the management there, maybe setting up a little information booth to where people that's coming in and out can ask questions, maybe working with a gardening club on, helping them.
That's right.
Or maybe you're, working in the community to help beautify and, maybe plant some, natural areas and flowers and things like that. So it's a lot of different ways that people can give back.
That's right.
And you necessarily do not have to be a master gardener to do so.
No,
But
no.
it's a lot of things that you can offer.
Mm-hmm.
Carl, we had made mention a little while ago about fire ants.
Yeah.
And I think you had a call earlier
Mm-hmm.
about someone was asking some questions about them.
Yeah, we had a caller in northern Granville County that had a problem with them, but I think we probably are seeing them in Person County now, especially after the recent rains that we've had. It seems like more and more fire ant mounds are popping up. But this is what a fire ant mound looks like. It can be in a lawn or a field, and a lot of times you'll see them between a sidewalk and the lawn, and this is because the heat radiates off the sidewalk, and this is what they like. They like the warm temperatures. So what we see is colonies of these are common in lawns, gardens, schoolyards, parks, roadsides, and golf courses. The nests generally occur in sunny open areas and are most common in disturbed and irrigated soil. Mounds are 4 to 24 inches tall and have no visible surface entrance. Their mounds are accessed through subterranean tunnels that spoke out from the central mound. And this is what they look like close up here. And you can have several of these brown ants. If the mound is disturbed, they'll really get excited and they'll start moving very, very quickly. This shows a fire ant gathering bait, and baiting is one method of control. This shows how quickly fire ants can swarm on this man's boot after the mound is disturbed. And you really want to stay away from these if you see these, because they can cause pustules from stings. And this is on a person's arm, so they can...
That looks very painful.
It would, and this would almost require,
Medical attention.
Yeah, right away. But they can move on water, and you can see in this slide here you have a mound of fire ants that's actually moving on water.
Wow.
It's really amazing, and the colony emerging from the flood water. The colonies may have between 100,000 to 500,000 ants. The queens can lay 1,500 to 5,000 eggs per day, never leaving the nest, and can live for many years. And the worker ants take care of the queen, build a nest, defend the colony, and find food. Their food consists of other insects and seeds. Winged male and female ants fly from the colony in the spring and summer to mate in the air. The mates die and the females become queens that start new colonies. The best time to treat for fire ants are when the mound activity increases as soil temperatures warm up in the summer, up until late September to early October, before soil temperatures get too cool. The temperatures right now are still pretty warm of the soil. And it's best to do a two-step treatment, baiting first and then do a mound treatment second. You can bait near specific mounds, or you can broadcast treat across the large area. You do not want to apply baits directly on the mound, since ants don't forage on top of the mound for food. They actually, baits are actually food, and it depends upon that food being attractive for the ants to take it in. So they go away from the mound, take the bait, and bring it back. Some baits are direct poisons, and some are insect growth regulators, which cause the colony to die out gradually. Baits are slower acting than direct mound poisons, so don't expect results overnight. Baits rely on foragers to collect the food and bring it back to the rest of the colony to eat. One way to see if you have an active mound is in the middle of the morning, before you bait, drop 1 or 2 potato chips near a mound. If the ants are consuming the potato chips after 30 minutes, it's a good time to apply the bait. Buy fresh bait and store it only for a short period of time. Don't store baits near other pesticides, fuels, or products from which it will absorb odors. Do not apply baits to wet grass or when rain is expected within 24 hours. And by all means, don't disturb the mound. Workers will move the queens to safety if they sense disturbances. So there are different products that you can use. You have, again, insecticides and baits. The insecticides can be used by just sprinkling the powdered insecticide on top of the mound. One product such as Orthene, Orthene, and it's marketed by Ortho's Fire Ant Killer. This can be used and just sprinkle it on top. Then you have different types of baits. As we mentioned, some act as insect growth regulators. Others act very quickly. So you just go to your garden center and see what's available and know how long it's going to take to treat. Again, with the baits, you want to treat all the areas around the mounds so that the ants come out and they get the bait and bring it back to the nest. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing more and more of these. And the thing to be aware of is definitely don't walk on top of them or stir them up, because in a matter of seconds they can be onto your shoes and start crawling up your pants, and it's not a good thing.
Okay. All righty, we need to get a word on for one of our fine supporting sponsors. We'll take a trip out to Timberlake and stop in at T.G. Brooks Company. And you know what? It would be a good weekend to enjoy some of those hand-cut ribeyes on the grill from T.G. Brooks Company, located downtown Timberlake.
The leaves are falling. It's October 2014. Fall season is in full swing with warmer days but cooler nights. Time for mums. T.G. Brooks Company has them, and pansies too, beautiful pansies. Time to plant your turnip seed, kale, mustard, collards, and broccoli. More importantly, it's time to sow the yard and do fall planting. There is no better time of the year to reseed and to refeed your lawn. T.G. Brooks Company has plenty of advice and plenty of supplies too. Enrich your yard with needs such as lime, fertilizer, grass seed, including the new top choice turf grass seed for greener and plusher lawns. As you drive through Person County, you will notice many people have already been to T.G. Brooks Company and picked up or had delivered beautiful mulch, including some of the triple ground mulch, and they have mulch in several colors. It is also time to do some raking. Get your lawn rakes and your tools to do the work. No matter if you are the individual homeowner or you are the professional landscaper, T.G. Brooks gives the same courteous attention to everyone. Fall and this time of the year is also time to check on your stovepipe needs and fitting needs. Next month, we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving. Keep in mind, T.G. Brooks Company has hams, so plan now to put that on your shopping list for later on and get your ham for Thanksgiving. They are such a complete and handy store for Person County. From cast iron cookware to case pocket knives, from grocery needs to radio flyer red wagons, from plumbing supplies to electrical supplies, they have it, and plenty of advice, especially for your lawn and garden. Every day, people stop by and pick up hand-cut ribeyes, some of the finest around anywhere, and take them home and pop them on their grill after a hard day's work in the yard. T.G. Brooks Company, thanking you for your business and looking forward to serving you here in October.
Here we are back on the Gardeners Corner program. We are live in the studio today. 336-599-0266. That's 599-0266. If you've got a question for Carl, we'd be glad to hear from you. We sure would. Looks like it's a beautiful day out today. Chance of rain tonight. and later this afternoon also. And supposed to be a little bit cooler tomorrow and a little bit cooler on Sunday. But next week it's supposed to be up into the 70s. But an excellent time for you to be fertilizing your cool season grasses.
That's right.
Hopefully by now you have gotten a soil results back from your soil samples that you have turned in to the North Carolina Department of Agriculture. But if you have not done your soil sampling test, you still got time, and it is free to the residents of North Carolina up until November 25th. But after November 25th, until is it what, the end of March?
March 31st.
It is a cost of $4 per sample. And if you would like more information about how to do soil sampling, you can just call the local Person County Cooperative Extension Service office at 336-599-1195, or you can call the Granville office at 919-603-1350.
That's correct.
And again, you have until November 25th to take advantage of the free soil sample testing, and that $4 per sample fee will be in effect until March 31st. And a lot of you may wonder and ask, why is it done that way? Well, the reason that they came up with this system is to try to encourage everyone, they being the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, they done this to try to get everybody to do their soil samples as early as possible, because I remember within the last few years that it was like a 8 or 9 week turnaround, and sometimes people can't wait that long. So by imposing a $4 fee, it's not that they're trying to cut back on the amount of work that they do at the Department of Ag. They're just trying to get it to where you won't have to wait so long to get your results.
They want to prevent the backlog of samples occurring through, November, December, January, February, when all the farmers submit their samples. So this encourages the farmers to get their samples in early too.
And I think a lot of people make light of soil sampling, and these days in time, you want to get the most out of your money that you possibly can.
Right.
And with farmers, planting these crops, they want the biggest yield that they can without having to spend as much money. And local homeowners are the same. They want the best for the least amount of cost. And you're just making a guess if you're putting out X number pounds per square foot on your lawn of fertilizer without having the soil sample. And it may come back that you may only need lime, or it may come back that you only need nitrogen. So do yourself a favor, save yourself some money, and do some soil sampling. And broom straw, I have always been told, is more or less an indicator weed, meaning that it needs lime on the land.
That's right.
We just mowed hay within the last week or so, and there was somebody by the house, and before we mowed the hay, and they said, I can tell you that field out there needs lime. And I said, well, from the soil samples that we done last fall, it did not need lime last fall, but I'm getting ready to do the soil samples again, and it very well may need lime, because we had a wet winter and we've had a pretty wet year, and so some of the lime
It's going to leach through.
It could be leached through, as Carl said. So save yourself some money. Go ahead and get your soil sampling done before November 25th, and they'll send the results to you. And I will tell you this, when you get the results, they are hard to read.
Yeah.
But all you got to do is call the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service, and they'll go over the form with you, and they'll help you decipher. Or if you talk to one of the many lawn and garden centers around here, they have people there that know how to decipher
Right.
the test result sheets.
Yeah. Now, another thing that people can do in the being that we're speaking on lawns, adding fertilizer to cool season lawns is best done now. Also, controlling broadleaf weeds in the lawn. Now is the time to do that as well. The winter annual weeds such as henbit and chickweed. These are very tiny plants in the lawn right now. They're very inconspicuous, but now's the time to control them because they're very small. If you control them now, you won't see these weeds in the spring. So the materials to use would be liquid broadleaf weed killers, brand names such as Speed Zone or Trimec. These work very well, and they have actually 3 different herbicides formulated together in one product. They contain 2,4-D, MCPP, and dicamba, and this combination will knock out the very difficult to control weeds such as ground ivy, which is also called creeping Charlie, wild violets, and dandelions as well. And if you start targeting your lawn weed application to this time of the year, even if you do it for the first time now, if you don't get complete control because you might have some weeds that might persist, you can follow up with another application several weeks later. But while you're treating every September, for example, you'll definitely notice your weed population will go down. And if you live in a housing development and you treat your lawn weeds, and your neighbor doesn't, you can actually tell right up to the line where you've treated and where your neighbor hasn't. So the best defense against the weeds is to grow a good, thick, dense turf, and so that you don't have weeds that have an opportunity to grow.
Well, Carl, when you treat your lawn for broadleaf weeds, just say if you spray today, how many days will it be before you see a result of the weeds dying?
Well, it's going to depend on air temperature right now. Warm days, you'll probably see the effects of 2,4-D within maybe 3 or 4 days. If it gets cooler, it might take a week before you see it. And then, of course, the other thing to remember is that you can treat broadleaf weeds in the lawn with liquid herbicides. You can keep treating until, as long as the air temperature is above 45 degrees, you'll still get a pretty good translocation through the weed and down to the root system where it will be killed out. Temperatures below 45, it's going to take a long time for that material to work down through the weeds. So the sooner you do it, the better. Take advantage of the warmer days for better control of and kill of the weeds.
Okay. All righty. We are live in the studio today. We've got about maybe 6 more minutes left on today's show. Our number is 336-599-0266. Again, that's 599-0266 for the Gardener's Corner program. We're going to get a word on in just a minute for South Boston Memorials, one of our fine supporting sponsors of the Gardener's Corner program. And we just appreciate you all tuning in, and want to make mention about RadioRoxborough.com. You can log on to RadioRoxborough.com and see past editions of the Gardener's Corner program. But right now, we're going to get a word on for South Boston Memorials, and we'll be back to wrap it up on the Gardener's Corner program right after this.
South Boston Memorials, located 1439 Seymour Drive in South Boston, Virginia. They offer granite markers, monuments, and mausoleums. For more information, visit the website SoboMemorials.com or call 434-572-3859. South Boston Memorials have been in business and family-owned since 1958. In-house laser etching is available at South Boston Memorials. They have over 300 granite memorials in stock. For all of your granite markers, monuments, and mausoleums, stop in and see them right there at South Boston Memorials, located 1439 Seymour Drive in South Boston, Virginia, or call them at 434-572-3859 and visit the website SoboMemorials.com. That's South Boston Memorials, located 1439 Seymour Drive in South Boston.
All right.
Okay, here we are back on the Gardeners Corner program. We actually got a couple of calls. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardeners Corner program.
Yes, I'm on now.
Yes, you are. How you doing?
All righty. I just had a little question or comment about the 2,4-D.
Yeah.
If it had any effects, like if you live beside somebody that had tobacco field there, would it have any effects on the tobacco if you sprayed it there and it had a drift over?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you definitely want to watch out for it. You don't want to apply it if the temperatures are above 85, and definitely don't apply it if there's a wind. You want to have a good still day, still wind.
All righty. I
Still air.
appreciate that. Y'all have a good day.
Hey,
Okay.
thank you. You too. Appreciate you calling. That was a good question. And you know, overdrift can travel a pretty good ways, and it can cause damage. It sure can.
That's right.
Another caller. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardeners Corner program. Hello. Hello. Thank you for calling the Gardeners Corner program.
Well,
Well, I guess we
Must
lost
have
that
must
one.
have lost him.
Well, anyway, our apologies. I hope I didn't cut them off. But anyway, Carl, we got a couple
Few
of
minutes
minutes
left.
or so. You want to do a rewind and recap?
Yeah. Again, that's the caller that made a good point. Do never apply broadleaf herbicides in your landscape if you have a wind, because you can get drift very easily, can cause problems with other broadleaf plants, and especially other crops in the field. Broadleaf herbicides will not hurt grasses, but any broadleaf planted will. So please be careful of that. Don't apply when temperatures are above 85, and if there's a wind, definitely don't apply. If you have a garden close by, you even take a canvas and put over the garden so that you don't get drift and cause problems. Tomatoes and grapes are excellent indicator plants of 2,4-D damage.
Okay. Hey, I think our
All right.
caller called back.
Okay.
Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardeners Corner program.
Yes, a question I have. Carl's talking about spraying for weeds in the yard. What happens if you overseed your yard and then spray? Or how would that?
Yeah, you don't want to spray after you've overseeded. You actually have to wait until the grass seedlings come up, and you have to wait until the grass is mowed at least 3 times. Then you can put broadleaf herbicides on your lawn. Even though you're using the herbicide and it doesn't harm grasses, when the seedlings are very small, they are susceptible to damage from 2,4-D.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Hey,
All
that
right.
was a good question. Thank you
Yes.
for bringing it up.
Excellent point. Wait until you mow the grass 3 times, the new turf 3 times before you add broadleaf weed killers.
And you still can go ahead and, you can plant your cool season grasses a few more weeks, but just the only disadvantage is when leaves start to fall, they sometimes can smother out and kill
Right.
any new grass seedlings that may have started to grow.
That's right. That's right.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Gardeners Corner program. We were brought to you today by South Boston Memorials, T.G. Brooks Company, and the Lloyd Granville Agricultural Heritage Association's 8th Annual Harvest Show going on in Butner today, Saturday, and Sunday. So want to wish you and yours a happy and safe weekend. Remember, it's supposed to get pretty cool on Saturday night into Sunday morning, so you may need to make some preparations for some of those plants that you do not want to be harmed from the cool weather. But want to wish you once again a happy and safe weekend, and we'll see you next week for another edition of the Gardener's Corner program. Thanks going out to Carl Cantalupe.
Thank you, Rob.
Have a great day.